Time's up, Admiral.
Here it comes.
Chevron 1, coded.
For my ally is the Force, and the powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow.
You failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Cry hammer, and let's set the dogs of war.
Chevron 2 is coded.
Conan, what is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, to hear the lamentation of your women.
It's on the reflexes.
Paul also said you're heavy into martial arts, Tai Chi and all that killer stuff.
I suppose we have to register you as a lethal weapon.
Chevron 3 encoded.
And somebody ought to belt you in the mouth. But I won't. I won't. The hell I will.
Chevron 4 encoded.
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Chevron 5 encoded.
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Chevron 6 encoded.
Not for while you can, monk boy.
Great Scott.
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
You shall not pass!
I thought I'd die fighting side by side with an elf.
What about side by side with a friend?
A day may come when the courage of men fails, when we forsake our friends and break all bonds of fellowship. But it is not this day.
Chevron 7 is locked.
Hail and howdy, everybody. Welcome back to another Saturday Night Drive-In where we sit back, relax, and just enjoy movies where we are not invaded by other stuff. And I know last week we had a momentary blip in the stream where real world did interfere for a moment, but that was something that was you couldn't ignore. And once again, I will say I did my best to try and let everyone know that we know what happened, and so we could then finish out the show. But here we are, gonna have a good time today, I think, even though Jed is not. He's not angry at me. Let's just say that. He's not angry at me, and I'm happy when he's not angry at me. But Jed, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here. I finished the movie about an hour ago, less than an hour ago, so my thoughts are very fresh, but my emotions aren't very fresh because there's not really any emotions associated with this film. It's not anger. It's not love. It's just, I guess I watched something.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
It was a weird experience. One of the weirdest experiences I've seen watching a movie because I got no sense of it. I can't legitimately tell you if this was a good movie or not. Like taking, my normal trying to be objective thing or being subjective. I can't wrap my brain around this movie. Like it shorted out my circuits.
I think that's a first. I think that's a first for you.
I don't think I'll be giving a rating at the end, just giving a spoiler right now. I don't think I could in good conscience rate this movie because
not applicable. Wow.
I can't.
You see, listen, this is literally my childhood. This is the 80s. This is something that once it aired, it was always on television. So it's something I saw all the time. I can't count how many times I've seen this movie. And I'll admit I watched it last week. I didn't watch it this week. So it was what inspired me to choose. Like, well, I just watched this. I had a good time. It still holds up for me. Let's throw it out there for a nice, easy one. Nothing too hard because while Real Genius is essentially a sort of comedy, it is still dealing with a little bit of Cold War ideas because this is height of the Cold War and the ideas of Star Wars and space weapons and all that kind of shit, whether or not that stuff was really happening. So it kind of plays around that, but it really, as I see it, is a movie that is carried by Val Kilmer's performance and also by, what is his name? I never remember his name because he always plays the same kind of guy. William Atherton, who played Professor Hathaway. That dude made a career of playing sons of bitches.
I've definitely seen him in other things before, and it's the exact same performance.
He's always, and that was the time. He was a character actor, and his character was evil asshole. So, I mean, so Ghostbusters famously, that man has no dick. So he is professional asshole all the time, and he does it well. So it's certain performances that nail it, and there are weak performances in this movie. I readily admit that. I readily do. But we're gonna have fun with that. I think we may not go long since Jed isn't in an argumentative mood. We may not go very long today, but that's fine. We're here to just have you guys to enjoy the time, and hail and howdy to everybody across both our chats. We hope you're having a good Saturday. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channels, and let's get to it. All right, so this is, let me check the year. 85. This is 1985. Tiny little baby boy Adam. I think it was at least a couple of years before I actually really saw it. I mean, I could tell you, I saw Weird Science before I saw this, in terms of weird out there 80s, just screw with your mind movies that have no objective. I mean, this is made in that period of time, because I think Weird Science was made around 85 to 86. It was kind of that period where they're making coming of age movies, because in a weird way, this is a sort of coming of age movie where you have a guy like Mitch trying to fit in a place where he's supposed to fit in but doesn't initially fit in, and you have a guy like Val Kilmer's Chris, who understands that fitting in doesn't really matter, and finding that inner independence, just be who you are. And if you have that weird ability to be a genius, to kind of forge your own path. So, Jed, I'm going to actually, no, let me set up the movie first, and then then we'll try and get something out of you. So this is the mid 80s. I think the movie takes place in California. I think that's where it's taking place. And basically, you got a 60-year-old dude named Mitch, who is a genius, who understands like particle physics and all that stuff that genius kids get. And he's being scouted by a guy called Dr. Jerry Hathaway to take part in a program that he is secretly working for the military. His students don't know it, and it's basically developing space lasers so that you can just basically zip a dude from orbit without having to send in SEAL team or special ops or anything like that. And it's essentially them trying to figure it out without our heroes, our protagonists, the geniuses, the good geniuses, trying to figure out how to make this laser. And then when they realize that they made the laser that's going to be used for killing people, and how they deal with it and try to solve the problem in a zany fashion, because it's zany. You gotta admit, that conclusion is zany and nuts. And I ain't eat that popcorn off the ground. I ain't doing that.
God no.
Those kids running away with the wagon.
How did they spend that much money on popcorn? They're college students. They're broke.
Laszlo. I don't know. I don't know.
They would have had to like take a mortgage worth of money out.
Yeah,
they're all in debt forever just for popcorn.
They're geniuses. They figured a way. They made it themselves. Somebody grew it anyway. So that's basically the setup. It's of course relationships and people being true to themselves. That it's some real basic stuff, with not a whole lot of depth. There's not a whole lot of depth to any of this, but it's not meant to be. It's supposed to be literally, and I say this unironically, a popcorn movie. You sit down, you eat your popcorn, and you have a good time. You enjoy the performance of Val Kilmer, and this is real early in his career. So we see the understanding of Val Kilmer is multifaceted. He can play it straight and play it comedic at the same time. So we get into the movie, and Mitch has been scouted by Jerry, and he's going to come at this special institute for geniuses as 16 years old, and all the other ones are at least in their early to mid 20s, depending on, I guess, when they're scouted and they're brought in. So Jed, you get into this movie. How you feeling as you get into it? How you feeling?
The emotion that I got from nearly every scene, from every performance, just the quintessential word for this film for me was awkward. And that's not just in characters. Obviously, the characters are awkward because, they're
supposed to be.
They're supposed to be awkward.
Yeah.
But I got that sense from the director, the writer, the actors. It just felt like no one was really sure what they were supposed to do. And I felt uncomfortable watching even what could have been good scenes, because it just felt like everyone was uncomfortable. And that made me feel uncomfortable. That was my reaction.
But I feel like though that's not an unusual reaction movie because geniuses in real life are uncomfortable people because they're wired so differently. They have horrible social skills. Chris Knight, Val Kilmer's character, is basically the lone exception because he decided to just accept the insanity and be insane, and therefore that raises his charisma level where he's just not caring anymore. And now Andy Pickle brings it up right here. Apparently there is a scene where they raid a hydroponics lab for popcorn. Okay, I didn't know that. I don't know about the cut scenes. I've never actually seen that. So.
That's a big hydroponics garden then, just with popcorn. It's still a godless amount.
It could be genius popcorn because that wasn't a giant bowl. It was a giant bowl, but it wasn't big enough. So maybe it was super popcorn. These are geniuses.
Super popcorn. Okay.
Super popcorn. My head canon allows this. If they're geniuses, if there was a hydroponics
they
farm,
made magic popcorn. They're just smart.
It's super popcorn, genius popcorn. Anyway, so I guess the best way to go through this, we'll go through the characters, and we'll see where it takes us. So, honestly, Mitch is supposed to be our second lead protagonist, but he's a very weak character with a very choppy performance by that actor. His performance is it is awkward.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a strong performance. Good. It's not. Mm-hmm. It's not at all. But I do, as somebody who was the new kid once upon a time in my youth, they do get across the whole you're the new kid and you're being judged, especially when you're being put in charge of something like the laser project. And having God, what's his name? God, Ken is just like gonna be a bully and a dick. So as far as Mitch goes, at the acting aside, how do you think Mitch's character work is as somebody we're supposed to connect to?
I don't think it works very well with someone to connect to, but it does have parts of that make sense. Like getting overwhelmed, calling his parents, that breakdown scene. That was probably my favorite scene with him just because it made him human. He wasn't just this super nerdy Hollywood stereotype, because that's what he felt like through most of the movie. Not a real person, just a Hollywood's imagination of what a nerd and genius is rather than the reality of it. And that one just, it humanized him a little bit. So I think that was the scene that accomplished the most for him. But after that, he was just ready to go. He immediately overcame all of those issues, which wasn't necessarily believable. So yeah, I wouldn't say from a writing perspective, his character's great either, let alone
I mean, this scene, this entire movie, it takes place over several months from what I can gather. It's not this is happening in a week or two. Time does pass. So it may seem quickly that he does get over it, but I think when Chris reaches out to him in that point and tells him the story of Laszlo and how Laszlo broke and went into the basement. You don't want to end up like that. And also his own story of, I almost became that, but then I realized, F it, I'm going to just cut loose and not play by their rules because I have the ability to make my own rules to an extent. And I think their relationship right there, even though it is thin, I admit that. I think even though it seems to happen quickly, it still takes place over a certain period of time where they grow closer while working on the laser project together, especially when the stakes get turned up in the third act about having it, but we'll get to that. So I agree. Mitch as a character, he serves his purpose. He is the relatability happens when he has his breakdown, and Andy Pickle's right. That moment is cringe when they play the recording in the cafeteria. Yeah. But it was
still better when we didn't hear the parent side, because those parents are bigger villains than the professor is. The professor's just taking a contract. He's doing what professors do. Like, he's being a dick about it, but he's not doing anything exceptionally evil or anything. He's just doing his job.
He's also Dr. Hathaway is also the kind of guys, basically, he's one of those guys that he understands it, but he can't really do it.
Yeah.
He's not really
he's a performative scientist.
Yeah.
I equated him throughout the whole movie. I don't know if you'll care to get this reference, but I equate him to Neil deGrasse Tyson. I do not respect Neil deGrasse Tyson. I do not think he's a good scientist. He's often contradicted by real scientists. If you want a celebrity scientist, go to Brian Cox in England. He is phenomenal. But yeah, Neil deGrasse, that's the impression I got.
I'm with you. F Neil deGrasse Tyson. F
He
that guy.
can't do anything, but he's good on podcasts. He's good with people. And that Everything show, I can't imagine it being that successful. But I guess
that was a public broadcast show. That was a local public broadcast.
Yeah, they acted like he was a massive celebrity from it. And as soon as you saw like the value of it, you're like, is anybody watching this?
Old ladies and cats. But yeah, so I mean, I guess let's jump to Jerry as our antagonist. So you don't find Jerry as a convincing antagonist, I would take it then.
No, because he doesn't do anything necessarily wrong. Yes, he does have a different moral structure from the kids, but a lot of people believe that, having weapons like that has value. There is a moral philosophy to an argument like that. Yes, he's a dick. I think the only bad thing he does is the implication that he's embezzling money from the project to renovate his house.
Yeah.
That is like the only thing that he does legitimately wrong. Yes, he's an asshole. Yes, he sleeps with the other guy's daughter, but he's just doing a job. So I don't see him as a villain.
I think it's essentially I do feel he's a good villain, maybe because I'm indoctrinated for that actor being a bad guy in everything I've ever seen him in for my entire life. But I feel as though I see him as a villain because he's stealing other people's ideas. And while I agree,
that's common, 100%.
Oh, definitely in the field of science, definitely.
Yeah.
So that to me qualifies him as villainous, but it also. Now, there was a period of time where I questioned my enjoyment of this movie. It was a short period of time, but I did because I thought, wait a minute, this movie's suddenly anti-war. I'm like, no, wait a minute, you're being influenced by a lot of crazy shit right now. Don't make a snap judgment of the movie. It's simply a case of implementing a brilliant idea and having it applied to an instance of taking lives where that is it's an ethical decision. And I think Jerry's villainous nature comes from his lack of ethics and his basically greed to want to do anything. And also, and to me, and this is the 80s. So this may be an 80s thing in all these types of movies where being a dick was sometimes a big enough villain aspect. If you were just a dick, it was enough. And to bully all these kids like this and to say, I'm going to take away your livelihood, I'm going to take away your future, or I'm going to send you back to wherever I found you. That kind of being a dick, at least in the 80s, in these certain types of movies, it was enough to be like, man, this guy's trying to ruin these people's lives. He's a dick. He's the villain. So by 80s standards, he was enough of a villain. It was enough. I mean,
it's like the Dean from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah. Although Ed Rooney, as we have, guys, go watch our discussion on Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That was a good one. Ed Rooney was a son of a bitch.
Yeah,
he was beyond that.
Breaking into people's houses, stalking children. Like he went a little beyond ass, so maybe that wasn't a good comparison, but it's most of what it was.
I would say a good comparison is the principal from The Breakfast Club. He's another. He's just doing his job. These are kids who broke the rules and they're in detention, and he's trying to keep them in detention, but they're all giving him shit for doing his job. So I think that's a closer example of another 80s thing where he's being a dick, but it's an 80s kind of villain dick where nobody's really threatened.
Yeah, no one's in like physical danger.
There's no mortal danger. There you go. No mortal danger. But
a warning though, we should not pick The Breakfast Club. Just gonna throw that out there. That's
I'm not gonna pick The Breakfast Club. I'm never gonna pick that. Listen, I'm not really a Brat Pack guy. I don't really need to watch. I mean, there are a few of those movies that I will watch and sometimes enjoy, but that one I could live without the freaking Breakfast Club. Don't worry, that's never. That was never gonna happen. What are we gonna talk about? Oh, they're rebellious kids. I mean, that Breakfast Club's the kind of movie you watch when you just want to talk about your favorite scenes. That's that type of movie.
It's a movie that you never watch again. You just watch YouTube clips of it.
That's like this movie. That was a movie that was on once cable happened in the late 80s. This was a movie that was on cable all the time, just like this one. So that's a movie I never chose to watch it, but it was on, so I did. I can guarantee I never rented The Breakfast Club once in my entire life. It was on a channel, on syndication, or on HBO, or all the premiums back in the day. Then I watched it, but I never spent money on The Breakfast Club. Never in my life. Not like watching other. I mean, like I said, there are other Brat Pack movies of that era which I have chosen to watch, which were good and enjoyable. But listen, guys, you guys, we try to choose movies that we either can have fun with or have some level of discussion to it. Sometimes it lands like Clear Today. We're not going to go too deep because it's not a very deep movie, but it is a.
We've already gotten sidetracked.
Well, yeah, but it's still a fun movie. And sometimes I experiment with this. Sometimes I'll pick a movie that I think I know is fun and I know can have some possible top discussions. But, maybe Jed's not going to find anything interesting in it. Just like sometimes he'll throw into me. Like, look back when we did American Psycho. My God, we were both very angry. We were done in 30 minutes. We got through that one fast. So sometimes but most of the time, you guys understand, we try to choose movies that are either going to spark a conversation or are something iconic, which has an impact on pop culture. This one does have an impact on pop culture, though. It is in the zeitgeist because there are a lot of people who go to this movie for fun and escapism, because the whole idea of Chris Knight, Val Kilmer, doing this zany shit, it was, man, I wish I could go to a genius school. That's what we said back in the day. I wish I could go to the genius school where they did crazy shit, like make ice in the hallway and play with lasers and make blow up fruit and get away with all kinds of shit.
So weird. So
it was, but it's, what it is? It's the charm of Val Kilmer, I think. And I think let's move to that. It's the charm of Val Kilmer, who, again, this is early in his career and would continue to do that until now, where he can't talk anymore and act. Val Kilmer can embody any character on the screen. Now, we've done a few Val Kilmer movies on this. We've done Saint, we've done Tombstone. I think we did maybe another one.
We did Willow. That's
Willow.
still my favorite Val Kilmer movie is Willow.
I'm not even sure what my favorite Val Kilmer movie is. I mean, listen,
Top Gun's got to be up there.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, we're gonna do Top Gun. We are gonna do Top Gun because Yeehaw Jester's dead.
We got to do those back to back, both of them.
We do. Yeah. I've honestly, I started watching Maverick at one point. I never finished it, so
it's really good.
I started it,
the first one.
I started it, but it was a very tumultuous moment in real life for me, and it was one of the things that I started watching, and then I just stopped for that day, and I just never went back to it. But I mean, I got Top Gun right there; it's on my shelf. I have original Top Gun; it's right there. So we must do that, because how can we not talk about homoerotic volleyball? How can we not talk about that? It's going to be a thing. Anyway, who hasn't seen Top Gun? Dermy. He saw the second one, but never saw the first one.
Really? Oh, you have to watch the first one. I think the second one was good, but it got caught in this wave because it was the only good thing out for years, it felt like. So people are saying it was better than the first one, best movie in years. It's not as good as the first one, people. It's still phenomenal. I love the second one.
But you have to see the first one. We will get to that. Honestly, that was something I almost chose a week or two ago. Almost chose it, but something else distracted me, I guess. Anyway, yeah, we are sidetracking hard here. You're not into it, and we're sidetracking hard.
Just has no substance to me. I swear to God, tomorrow when we're on Roundtable, you can ask me if I can describe the plot of the movie, and I will not be able to.
I was hoping it would be just a good time movie and be like, yeah, I had fun with this part, and that would kind of be it. But man, I fired a blank on this one today. I gotta admit that.
I didn't get upset. I'm not saying it's anything like Legend or Golden Child, so that might be progress.
That's why I'm saying I'll take it, even though you won't even have a score. But anyway, Val Kilmer, he makes it charming. Watching Chris Knight get through all this stuff, watching him dick around. I mean, and it is kind of silly, though. It's kind of silly where he dicks around for basically 80% of the movie until his livelihood is threatened at the end. And he has to now buckle down and make the laser work. Otherwise, he's not going to get a job, and he's not going to he would graduate, but he wouldn't get the job. And while I enjoy Chris Knight as a character, I enjoy Val Kilmer's performance, I don't feel, I guess, the tension. I think maybe that's part of the problem. There's no tension in this movie for you.
There's none whatsoever. No, I don't get any tension from it, especially when in the end you realize that it would have been better off and there would be no movie if Val Kilmer had just stuck to his partying ways and not buckled down, because they wouldn't have needed the third act whatsoever, stopping the laser, whatnot. He never would have solved the problem of the laser. And he's clearly enough of a genius to be able to get another job, to graduate somewhere else. Like, he can easily prove himself. So his whole livelihood, his life isn't over just because he's getting kicked out of this college. He has connections in other places.
He would have graduated. He would have graduated, but he got the job because of Hathaway, because of Jerry.
Yeah,
and
but
Jerry
there's
would have given it
other
to Ken.
people.
Yeah.
When you're that smart, there's
Headhunters.
there's limitless potential. He already knows people in the field. His life isn't over. It's just it has less direction and he has more options. So there'd be no movie if he'd stuck to his ways, and so that's not tension.
But friendship drew him to change his ways, to help out Mitch, and so that Mitch could not be trapped in his little tiny world of I'm not good enough for anything and my parents are assholes. There you go.
His parents did suck.
His parents did suck. Who gives their room away to the mailman
that quickly too?
I mean, he'd only been gone like a couple months at that point.
Are they not expecting him to come back and visit ever? Like, do summers not exist?
I don't know. I don't know. It's California. Who knows? I mean, listen, it's California. He was 16 years old, and that chick that we met looking for the best, brightest.
He was 15.
He was 15. Sorry, 15. Sorry, 15. He was 15. She was ready to jump his bones. She was ready. He was ready for some what's the term? That goes with the other word. Statutory. She was ready for some statutory going on.
I mean, even the chick he likes, that's still considered statutory
19,
in most states.
Yeah, she's 19. Yeah. So everybody, a lot of statutory action. Mitch gonna have some statutory action.
Legatus brings it up. That's a movie we need to watch at some point. I love The Computer Who Wore Tennis Shoes. That's a great comparison to this one. I feel like it's kind of in the same vein.
That's like old school Disney right there. That's Kurt Russell Disney. I haven't seen that movie.
I do like that movie. I haven't seen it in a while either. But I remember
I've seen the movie since I was single digits. I haven't seen the movie since I was single digits. That's a long time. I'm an old man.
Back when it came out.
Shut up. But yeah, so so there are some questionable things in this movie. That chick was ready to jump his bones, and that's also a weird thing. That chick who was hunting for the smartest dudes, man, she thirsty. And then settling on Laszlo, who is a super genius. Clearly for the time, shit he could do with a computer in 85. That's crazy. But man, if that's all it took for her to go with him, that dude better get a prenup, because she gonna leave him for the next smart dude.
Yep.
That's
he should have her checked, for STDs.
Hey, this is 85. It's a dangerous time. It's mid 80s. That's some dangerous stuff going on at that point. And nobody knew. No, thing is, if we're talking about that kind of stuff, nobody knew that shit was going on yet. So promiscuity, very dangerous in the mid 80s. But that was her whole thing. Her in that is very weird, and Laszlo willingly accepting her was also weird. I mean,
because we're talking about Laszlo, I just have to say that closet makes zero
sense. It does make zero sense. How does that? What was that original site? I mean, listen, guys, remember, I like this movie. I enjoy it. I always have fun when I watch it. I had fun when I watched it for today. But when I was watching it, I thought, wait a minute. That doesn't make sense.
No. I mean, when he goes into it, it's making so much noise. And it opens because he closes the closet door. So how does it close fast enough that he doesn't see it when he opens the door? Because that's what it's reacting to, is the outside closet door.
Yeah, that the whole Laszlo's hidden world. What was the original site of this school that they built on? How does that? And Laszlo didn't build it because there's like cobwebs and it's a whole. He found
these mine shaft elevators that like shake the building. Danger sign spray painted on the wall. I don't know if you saw one, but when the train system turned, it said light.
Light.
It pointed at a light bulb and said, "This is a light," in spray paint.
It's 80s. It's 80s.
So weird.
Especially as a kid, I didn't ask questions, and you didn't ask questions in the 80s in movies like this. You just kind of let it happen. And I mean, Laszlo is the guru. I mean, Andy Pillow says great. He's the Gandalf in this one. He's gonna have the answers, but he's also the ultimate socially awkward genius. Where would you like to wear my pajamas? No, I'm fine. First of all, he's like 5 inches taller than Mitch, so I don't think those pajamas would have fit.
No, I mean, we had the whole conversation where Chris is like, "Man, you gotta think before you ask stupid questions. Think of that big man's gonna fit in your clothes," as he walked away.
So it's there's that goofy nature to the movie. Laszlo, but here's the problem. I think after you get away from Mitch, you get away from Chris, you get away from Jerry. Everybody, and Ken, you could say Ken too, because Ken he serves a purpose. The rest of them are all they're quintessential side characters.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy girl who is love interest and is lunatic, but serves her purposes from her skill set.
Nerdy Asian dude.
Nerdy Asian dude who's the good buddy and who's going to back up whatever they do, and is there to just kind of come up with the zany solution. Why don't we do this? And there's that, and that's it. That's the crew, and they kind of work, but it's 80s. It's 80s storytelling for this kind of very light movie. People are literally barely above NPC level in terms of character development. And they just go with it. And because you're caught up in the easy nature of the story, you go along with it. You go along. I mean, let's be honest. This movie is basically, I would say, 30% montage.
Yeah.
Maybe
40%. That's
percent.
very 80s. I wish they would have picked better music. I didn't like any of the music from this movie, especially the climax music while they're doing everything.
Oh, that song is forever attached to this movie. It is completely attached to it. Everybody, I'm flat. I'm not going to keep going. That was terrible.
No, Andy Pickle. I don't question the time frame of disassembling, reassembling the car. I question how in the world they did that.
Geniuses.
There are pieces of a car that are too big. Even if you disassemble a car to its component pieces, there's going to be pieces too big to get in there.
Geniuses.
They change physics, reality, the state of
they
matter.
Had to make that car sleep.
Geniuses.
But I think but there's also a lot of one-liners. I mean, this movie's famous for God talking to Ken. Stop playing with yourself. That is, it's a pop culture scene. It's in the zeitgeist. You say this movie, it's the scene everybody usually first go to if you're not talking about laser and popcorn and stuff like that. That's what they go to. And listen, when I watched it and thinking about it, I'm going to try and either try it myself or get somebody to help me. I need to compile a Dermy. Stop playing with yourself. I'm gonna try and get that. Jesus. I think Devil will probably help me with that one if I ask, because I can do the recordings, I can set it up, and he can put it together. I think it would be funny. Listen, I'll take any chance to make fun of Dermy. It's very easy, but it has it literally is one of these. It's an 80s movie that is montage movie. I'm trying to think of another movie that
Rocky IV.
Rocky IV, yeah. So what did we talk about? Rocky IV was also essentially montage the movie.
But those were good montages. I love the
That's
Rocky
training montages.
From all those movies. Yeah, training montages, especially in Rocky, with good 80s music, just works so well.
Yeah.
The music helps a lot.
Yes. But so the entire second act is a montage of them working on the laser or doing shit with each other or getting out. And the movie, its third act, as you said, or as I said, and you agree with me, there's no tension. It's just, are they going to pull this off? And you're supposed to feel tension because they're sneaking onto a military base. And also, man, how light is that security that they got in like that?
Well, it's not even just that. Like, those fake IDs are terrible. It looks like she just literally cut out their yearbook photos and put some Elmer's glue on the back and slapped it on.
But they get in there, they go through it. Now, I do appreciate the time they take to show the level of 80s technology and how they're pushing it to its limit to accomplish their tasks. Because you think about what they were going through today, one little flash drive plugged in would have solved everything. That would have gotten the job done with current day technology. But they had to hack in. They needed to connect the modem on the phone on the thing, and they had to get the ping. They had to put the microchips in, and then Jerry almost catch them because that microchip is on the floor. And I appreciate that, but yeah, there is no tension. And then, because what's their big thing? We're going to destroy Jerry's house, which he used embezzled money to make, by overloading it with popcorn. And essentially probably get him thrown in jail. Jerry's going to jail because they brought a congressman there. And now that congressman showing up, that feels so, it's like, hi, I'm gonna kneel here with these kids and this old dean of students, or I guess president of the school in his bathrobe and his bunny slippers. I'm gonna not question. So you just came and got me. I'm gonna come here on my own. Okay, fine. It's very odd that the congressman is there, but you realize Jerry's going to jail because the government's going to throw him under the bus for that.
Yeah, he's going to be
the
the scapegoat, and he'd
Yeah.
get in trouble for the embezzling, but he
Yeah.
doesn't do anything actual wrong. Yes, he's the clear scapegoat, but he doesn't break any other laws besides the embezzling.
No, I think what they're also trying to do is there's a very light commentary on bad behavior by government and bad behavior by military. Because at one point in the very beginning of the movie, when they're showing off the whole project itself, one dude says, "I don't want any part of this," and the dude who's there representing the CIA says, "Yeah, we're gonna kill him." And I was like, "Whoa!" I had forgotten that part. Honestly, I hadn't seen that scene in a long time, so I'd forgotten that part. Like, wow, okay,
I don't know if
kinda
this
wrong.
makes me racist, but I thought that dude was a cameo from Muhammad Ali.
I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna.
It
I'm gonna
looks
ask.
like.
I'm gonna ask a question I probably shouldn't ask. So, listen. All right. I got nothing else.
It does.
It's just a fun movie. It's just a fun movie. You turn your brain off and enjoy it and watch the zany antics. It's 80s. I thought I was gambling that you would have plain fun with it, and we'd talk about the highs and lows of it, and some of the poor acting and here and there, and the good acting from Val Kilmer, but no, you really have no opinion on this. Wow.
I legitimately, that's why I can't score it.
Yeah.
I swear to God, tomorrow I will not be able to even describe the plot.
All right, so I'm gonna type in your score right now along with mine. Not applicable. NA, not applicable. There we go.
I think that's the first NA score we've ever had.
Yeah, I mean, and listen, it's just not applicable. Fine. I give it an 8 out of 10.
I don't think the movie's bad.
I know you don't. Guys, remember, he's not shitting on the movie. This isn't him shitting on my childhood again. This is him saying, I can't
understand it.
It's a movie. It's a movie.
This is one of the movies of all time.
It's not it's not like it's bloated. It's not like it has unnecessary scenes.
I feel like there's some narrative inflection issues. It feels very stagnant, like one note through
maybe. Well, they don't go. I can think that's the lack of depth. I think in the end, that's the lack of depth for it. But wow. Okay, we're done.
Are we?
I guess I can't. I'm trying to stretch this out. I'm not going to try and beat us over the head with it. So yeah, guys, this is on me, guys. I thought this would make a good one for the show. I guess it didn't. I'm like, if I had chosen Weird Science, I guess that would have been a better one because
I don't know anything about that one either.
Oh, Weird Science is insane. Of course, Kelly LeBrock in the mid '80s. Oof. See, I'm afraid to choose any more of these movies from that period of time because they all kind of are the same.
Well, there are some that I like. Like I love War Games. I don't know if you would consider that in the same vein.
It's not the same vein. It's same era, but not the same vein. War Games is definitely a Cold War movie. That is a completely that has an actual point it's trying to make. That well, let's save it because I'm sure we'll get there at some point. There's an actual point to War Games, but it's it's a. I got nothing else. Yeah, I got nothing else. So
one of the movies of all time.
It's a fun 80s movie. Everybody around my age always go, "Yeah, I love it. Let's watch it." So it's sit down and have a good time, turn your brain off. And I know that's not defense of it, but
I do have a question about the title.
Okay.
There are multiple geniuses in this movie. So who are they referring to? Is Mitch the real
probably
genius?
Laszlo. No, probably Laszlo. Laszlo, I think, is the real genius. Because
he's the title character?
No, well, I think because Laszlo's the one that figures everything out. He's the linchpin to all. Without Laszlo, they can't accomplish anything they're doing. Without Laszlo, they can't change the laser guidance system. Without Laszlo, they didn't figure out that it was going to be used for military purposes. And so Laszlo is the real genius. I mean, it's kind of out there, but even though Val Kilmer's the star, Laszlo is the real genius, I think, because he's the linchpin. listen. Seven Brothers, Seven Brothers is an
I love
all-time
that
great.
movie.
It's an all-time great, but I don't. I'm kind of hesitant to do a musical, right? At least at this moment. I mean, also, I'll let you guys know I have been drafted by Devil for his Devil's Angels pre-recorded movie discussion thing, and that is one of the movies on the list. So if it ends up I'm on that, I would probably choose it to line up when I'm doing that, so I can like get two birds with one stone. There are some movies on. I mean, Devil's got like a list of like 30, 40 movies. I'm good for about 75% of them, and I'm not a permanent on the show. I'll be his Bosley occasionally for him, and like 3 of the girls from the immediate network. So that is on his list. So, but I'm all set to do a musical right now. I just doesn't feel like the right time.
We have done them before.
Yeah, I know, but not this, and
not
also
in the near future.
Yeah, and I want to make sure that honestly, I want to make sure that we can really get into it, not just breeze by it. And also, that's an uplifting, happy movie, and I don't want uplifting, happy right now. I want miserable and horrible right now. That's what I want. Anyway, what do you mean lazy? What do you mean lazy writing? What do you talk about? I got nothing left to talk about. I can only express so much without Jed being interested.
I feel bad.
Don't feel bad. I feel bad that I chose a not a bad movie, just something that didn't spark conversation. Because listen, can't win them all. Anyway, but next week we'll see. Killing Birds. What are you talking about? That's not lazy writing. That's me having good time management. All right, it's good time management, taking advantage of a situation where I don't have to work as hard. Like, listen, I don't need Seven Brides, Seven Brothers is one of those movies I don't actually have to watch. I can watch it in my mind.
Oh yeah, me too.
I've seen it so many times. It's right there on my shelf. I don't need to watch it. I would watch it for pleasure though. So I could talk about it right now if I had to, easily. I could do it right now, but I'm not going to, because that's not the movie for this week. It was Real Genius, and I'm sorry, but we got nothing left to talk about. So Jed, what do we got next week?
Well, I decided another escapist film was in order, one that I grew up with and had a lot of nostalgia associated with it. I haven't watched it in a while, so that nostalgia might evaporate, as has happened on this show before. But I'm a big fan of the 2005 Matthew McConaughey film Sahara. So I think we're going to have a lot of fun watching that next week. Adam hasn't seen it, so another one of those where he's coming in.
But I am familiar with Dirk Pitt as a character. I tried to read the novels as a kid. That's kind of what got me convinced that I really only enjoy science fiction and fantasy. I do not enjoy suspense thrillers, spy novels, stuff like that. They just do not appeal to me. But the Dirk Pitt, Clive Cussler books were a thing in my house, so I am familiar with it. I just never did it, but it'll be an interesting one, because I'm probably going to shit on, even though I like Matthew McConaughey, I'm probably going to say it's just Matthew McConaughey. I guarantee
it's probably. I can see it. It's a little turned up, I think, but yeah, it's pretty much.
All right.
He doesn't do that.
I know.
I don't believe he does that in the movie. The standout in that movie is Steven Zahn, his sidekick. He's the one that everyone loves. Everyone quotes him. And Penelope Cruz wears this nice tank top in the third act that looks really good. So.
I'm always like 50-50 on Penelope Cruz. Sometimes I find her hot, sometimes I don't. I guess it's the angle of her nose. I don't see too much of it. I don't know. Like, I found her hot in the 4th Pirates of the Caribbean movie, but like if I watch Spanglish, I don't find her hot in Spanglish. So
I think you'll enjoy her in this one, because I think she does a good job. It's one of the only movies I've seen her in, and it's the first one I ever did. I always enjoyed her performance, and yeah, for those who don't know, I describe this as National Treasure if Nicolas Cage was a Navy SEAL. That's kind of where we're at with it, because it's a similar historical mystery. American Civil War, ship goes missing, and he's trying to find it through historical clues in Africa.
Yeah. Dirk Pitt's kind of a troubleshooter. He goes around the world finding crazy shit. And look, there are dozens of novels around him.
So, I haven't read any of them, so all I know is this one movie.
And I tried reading the very first one. I think it was called Deep Six. No, it wasn't. Maybe it was. I don't remember. The Mediterranean Caper. Maybe that's what it was called.
Deep Six?
No, that's something else. That's a different movie.
No, it's not a movie. Well, it might be a movie, but what I know it is, it's McGee's book in NCIS.
You're right. There is a movie called Deep Six.
That
or
is a
there
deep
one.
cut, though. If that's what you were thinking, that
No,
is a deep
well, it's
cut.
probably in there, but there is. I believe there's a movie called Deep Six. It's a kind of a suspense horror movie, also. But you're right.
There's
it is
a
McGee's
Marilyn Manson song, and that's the only thing that's coming up.
Really? Then
So yeah, you're probably thinking. Of
I got too
McGee's
many
book.
deep. I think it's the Mediterranean something or other. I think was the first
Mm.
Dirk Pitt book. Mediterranean something or other. Anyway, I'm familiar with it. Jensen movie I hasn't. Should be an interesting one because I'm sure I'll have whatever take I normally have. Anyway, all right, guys, thank you for being here. We apologize for a less than thrilling show, but hey, we can't win them all. But we'll be back next week at 7 p.m. Eastern because my haircut didn't happen this weekend, so it's going to happen next weekend. So we want to make sure I have enough time to look pretty for all of you. So until then, guys, take it easy. Have a good night or day wherever you may be.